Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Sempre Milan bonus podcast on Substat. This week, we've decided that we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to go through the Milan squad, the values that each player has on Transfermarkt, and we're going to say if we agree with them or disagree with them, and in the case of some players, what we can hope to get in the summer transfer window. So, dudes,
What's good?
how's it going? Happy Friday.
Yeah.
Well, I'm talking to you guys, so that's how it's going.
Unhappy Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not here because we want to be. Just kidding.
No. What happened, lads? You lost to a canal.
Well,
Dark
they're
now.
pissed because
We
we
own
tried
it.
taking it.
The America Canal, is that what it is now?
Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Now they beat us 3 times in a row, I think. Yeah.
They're just a shithouse team, aren't they?
Dude, they played with 5 at the back and then 3 defensive midfielders. Like, I don't care who you are. That's hard to break down because
you're used to a Allegri ball.
you know?
Yeah, their formation was like a 5-4-1, and it basically was a 9-man back line with a lone striker just chilling, waiting for a counter. And sure enough, that's what they got in the 95th minute.
But that's how it was
like
going to
15
be.
seconds left in the game. And we scored offside a couple times, and there were some young players.
I didn't really understand what the offside was.
It was the pass before him. Yeah, because it was such a boring game. I was looking at my phone most of the time. So when we scored, I was like, oh, nice, we got one. And then they said offside, and I was like, he didn't look like he was anywhere near offside. He was on the penalty spot. And then it was the pass down the wing to, I don't remember. Moya, yeah.
What was the celebration about with Thierry Henry? It looked like he shouted in his face.
Yeah, I watched after they asked him about it. Like, what was he saying to you? Because he was doing this really intently in his face. And I guess he was just saying, like, you're my idol, just repeatedly.
Oh.
And he was like, okay.
I thought they'd heard that like Thierry Henry had given them no chance before the game or something, and he just went straight over like "fuck you" or whatever. But no,
I thought it was either that or they're like, "We love this guy,"
Yeah. That was pretty cool, though, I must say. And yeah, Santiago Jimenez is Mexico are through.
Yeah, the other Jimenez scored 2 goals. Ours did nothing apparently. I didn't watch it. It kicked off at 10:30 last night, and I said, not that interested. So
yeah. We've got 2 Jimenezes, and the Fulham
Jimenez was the one that's...
Yeah, of course. And then what we got? Reijnders scored a goal for Netherlands against Spain, and it was a gorgeous goal. He basically just 1-2'd with Jeremy Frimpong down the wing and then got it on the edge of the box, side-footed it, bottom corner. 16th goal this season for club and country for Reijnders. Nuts. Maignan saved a penalty, first in a long time, but it was a Kramaric penalty that was pretty much straight at him. And then France lost anyway, 2-0 to Croatia. It's about it, really. Leao was one of the better players for Portugal.
Tonali's not our player.
Nope, he's not. Donnarumma also came back to San Siro as well. I think it was Tonali's first goal at San Siro, obviously since that one against... was it Cagliari? I can't remember. But obviously first goal back at San Siro, and he scored under the curve of Sud as well. And then Donnarumma came out after the game and said something like, my heart belongs to Milan and stuff. So it's all a little bit... I think he meant the city, like he said Milano. But I think he's coming back to Inter. Wait... all right, let's do this. Can we get up the...
Shit.
No, he's going to go there, by the way.
It's written in the stars.
Yeah, 2 stars in their case. Let's get up the Transfermarkt thing then. Here's what we're going to do. What prompted this idea for me was this morning I was writing something about Mike Maignan. And what they said is, La Gazzetta dello Sport said, is that considering all of the factors... his market value has now dipped quite dramatically from what it was to what it is now. It got me thinking, how much has the value of our players changed this season, given that we are having a bit of a dip in terms of form? And, how important is things like contract situation? So I'm going to start this before we go player by player. You can probably hear me typing. I wanted to get up how they do the valuations for players because there's a list of key criteria. Transfer market value explained. I'll just go through some of the most important factors. This is on their website that determines the values that you'll see on the screen, or that we're going to talk through if you're listening. Future prospects, so I guess potential, age, performance for club and national team, level and status of the league, both in sporting and financial terms, reputation, development potential, seems the same as future prospects to me, marketing value, number and reputation of interested clubs, experience level, injury susceptibility, contract situation, financial conditions of clubs and leagues. So there's a load of different things that goes into formulating these figures. It's not just something that they pluck out of the sky, but they get updated fairly regularly. And this one has been updated post the transfer window that closed in February. So we're starting top to bottom, are we? Okay. The first number one in the squad for market value is Rafael Leao at 75 million euros. Agree or disagree?
I expected lower, to be honest, given the way our season's gone. I feel like he's the one that always takes the big hits. And I know it was higher. It was 9 figures after the Scudetto season, correct? Or was he?
I think it got to 100 mil.
Maybe because he had the release clause, and we wouldn't double his value in the release clause.
Let's see. Did I make a boo-boo? I did. I thought I could go see more, but sorry, guys.
Anyway. No, it's okay. So yeah, his release clause is huge, 175 million. And I think that his contract length until 2028 is reflected in his value. And also his age, because at 25, he's not over the hill yet. You know, he's actually should be approaching his prime years. But the reason that it is now 75 and not 100 plus is because he's never really kicked on in terms of consistency. There's talk before every season about him being the potentially being a 20-goal man, you know, scoring 20 goals across all comps, and he's never really got close to that. His best season remains 2021-22, and while that's the case, I think that value is only going to go down. I agree with you, AJ. I was thinking more in the 60 range, to be honest, based on where he's at right now. But I think as mentioned, contract and age have bumped that up a little bit. 75 mil.
I think he's. I mean, I'd sell him for 75. I don't think I'd sell him for 60.
Yeah, so it's somewhere in and around that range, isn't it? 70, 75. But yeah, that's not a bad starter. 50 million euros for Christian Pulisic.
I think if Rafa's worth 75 here, minus all the mark, I think to Milan, Pulisic is more valuable than Leao. I think to the rest of the world, Leao is more valuable than Pulisic.
I think you are spot on with that, to be honest with you. I mean, in terms of goal output, goals and assists, right? No one's done more than Pulisic since his arrival. That's fact. We know that. I think he's been more marketable for the club. So I think his value is worth more than 50, knowing what we paid for him as well. I think that's a very good return. I wouldn't sell him for 50. No chance.
No.
No.
For me, I would genuinely only sell him if it was more than, or if it was around what Chelsea bought him for. I think that was 70 million or something
70,
like that.
Yeah. He's very hard to replace, only because you don't often buy players that come in and make an immediate impact like he did.
Yeah, not for the price that we pay. Yeah. He's playing like a 50 million signing, and that means he's should be worth more than 50, in my opinion. Also, he's right in his prime years, which, I mean, we got him for 2 years now. We've seen what it's looked like. So if he's only going to get better next season based on his prime age or whatever, then, I would imagine that value goes up even further. And with his renewal coming up at any point now, based on their formula, I think it'll bump him up there as well.
Yes, I think it will. I think that's something I was going to mention. It's a good point. When he signs that extra 1 year renewal, or it might be 2 years, 2029. Yeah, then that's going to raise that a bit. Not that 2027 is an imminent deadline, but just it adds leverage, and also I think from a non-economic point of view, I guess it shows his attachment to the club, and that he wants to keep going and he sees a future here, which is obviously great for us. But yeah, from an economic point of view, the leverage that gives is important. I agree. I think it should be at least the same as Leao, if not a bit more. But that's based on the consistency of his production since he arrived, and not necessarily things such as the fact that Leao's got an extra year on his deal. Leao's 1 year younger. Leao potentially at some point could hit heights that are higher than what Pulisic has. You want to see him tear it up. We want to see Rafa go on a run. But yeah, I think with Puli, it's in and around the 80 million mark. That I think if a bid comes in for that, you've got a duty to listen to it, and then it's up to the player. But I just think in terms of what he's worth for us, as you guys have kind of mentioned, he's close to irreplaceable. I mean, 50 goal contributions in 88 games across all competitions.
That's unreal.
It's amazing. And one thing that I think he's added, I might have agreed with 50 million if this were last summer, but I think this season he's added goals in big games, and that's really important. That further inflates his value. He scored in 2 derbies this season. Scored against Liverpool.
Score against Panama.
Yeah, well, he's saving it for us. He's saving it for us. Love him. Theo Hernandez at 50 million euros.
I'd sell that.
Yeah, that's a tough one because I don't think he's a 50 million euro player, but knowing that, I mean, you could count on one hand the number of world-class left backs right now. That's probably about right for him. But in terms of what I'm seeing on the field, you take a 50 million offer and run. You don't even try to negotiate. You just say, yes, absolutely. Which to me says his value should be a little lower. 38, 45-ish range, I think, is something we'd accept.
30, I feel like 30, the number 30 just makes it sound bad. So I'm going to say 40. I also don't know if I'd sell him for 40, but I'd sell him for 50. I feel like he lacks in the defense department.
Again, another thing we got to take into consideration is the amount that we paid for these players. I mean, outside of Leao, the 3 that we've touched so far have all been very cheap signings. So it would be a huge turnover. And with the amount of time that Teo's been with us, coming up on 6 years this summer, that's almost a full return, So, yeah, I'd take 50 for him. Is that what we're doing? Are we talking about the amount we would sell them for, or are we just saying that's a fair...
I mean, I think that's just like
bit of both. Like,
okay.
Is it an accurate market value, and then sort of factored into that the price that we would probably accept? I think those are the main things. I think 50 is too high. I mean, I look at his deal there. It runs out in less than 18 months. He's 27, so of the players that we've talked about so far, he's the oldest. Should be in his prime now, and as he's entered his prime, he's got worse. I don't think we can ignore that. This is his worst season by a mile. And not just because his performances have been up and down. There's been other things. I don't know if their algorithm factors in stuff like his disciplinary record, because that red card against Feyenoord cost us big time. But yeah, it just feels like nobody's showing up and paying 50 million for Theo at present, which maybe it happens. I don't know. But it's like we're in a really, really tricky situation with him, because we either need to renew him or we're going to have to accept a figure that a year or 2 ago is laughable. Do you know what I mean? Like, we either have to back him and say, all right, here's your contract extension. Let's see how the next season or 2 go. Or you have to accept 30 mil. And I feel like that's not a nice position to be in at the moment. Who knows? Things might change. The new coach might say, no, I absolutely demand that he stays. The new sporting director might say, we can't sign someone as good as him for 30 mil. All these things could come into it. But I think at present, everything considered, 50 million is a little bit high for Theo. Tijjani Reijnders next at 50 million euros also.
I wouldn't sell him for 50.
Yeah, I mean, look, from what we've seen here, our top 4 most valuable players, I think that's exactly who everyone would guess going into this blind. Like, who are our top 4? They would probably name exactly these guys in this order. Tijjani's been a revelation for us. If we didn't get him after selling Tonali, we'd be in a very, very bad spot, which I guess we currently still are, being in 9th or whatever the fuck we're in. but I mean, he was a revelation for us. I really happy with his signing. I wasn't fond of it when it happened because he kept taking these deep shots that were missing, going sky high, and I was like, just pass the ball, bro. But now that he's added goals to his game, there's really no complaints.
He's our second highest goal scorer.
Exactly. There you go. Yeah.